Hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wise.
Yo, now I've done Alfred Hitchcock films before. Why not? Why not? Now I do admit I'm more of a lover of the birds, right? I'm more of a lover of the birds, and I've took my tap off here on. But I'm more of a lover of the birds. But I respect it. That being, fuck it, why not? Woot, woot, woot. Psycho. Yeah, I like Psycho. To be honest, I was more of a lover of the second one. The third one was a bit of a letdown, but I don't hate it. Just thought it was a bit of a step down from number 2. The number 4th one, didn't like it when it first come out, but after seeing the fucking horrible remake, I've due to respect Psycho 4. It's more of a prequel. Is it as good as the other ones? No, but it's a hell of a lot better than the fucking remake, that's for sure. Now Psycho, where can I go with Psycho? I'll do you the breakdown, fuck it, why not? Psycho, as we all know, is in black and white, shot in black and white, and Alfred Hitchcock wanted it that way, so fuck the colorised fucking remake. You've got a young girl having it away with some dye, right? Played by Janet Leigh, may she rest in peace. And she's having it away in a motel, and she works in a bank, steals money and fucks off. Lo and behold, it's pissing it down. She stays the night in a car in the road in the middle of nowhere, gets advised the next day by a bobby, never a bobby when you need one, to rent a motel. She changes her car and she goes on the run because she stole money from the fucking bank. Goes to the motel and you get the rest of the story. Everybody knows Psycho. Everybody knows it. It's like the famous iconic shower scene. Woot, woot, woot. The music, the shower scene, the stabby scene, the tomato tets up, going down the blood hole. But yeah, we know it. But for its time, it was pretty ballsy. You know, this was the first time you started to see a stab scene. First time you got the iconic sound effects, and the first time you got to see the blood scene. Not too much blood, but enough for the human eye. You know what I mean? But it's like a loot that. Alfred Hitchcock had a beautiful angle. The eye obliterating when Janet Leigh lying there. Pause of the film after the famous shower stab scene. And for people that probably all know this, because you've seen all biographies of it, Alfred Hitchcock was the one himself. He dressed up with a wig, dressed up as the woman, darkened the face, and he actually did the shower scene because he wanted to do it and direct it in the way it should be. Now, to be open and honest, Psycho now wasn't much of a shocker, because before I saw Psycho, I actually saw Psycho 2, and then a couple of years later, when video was around, we rented out Psycho 3. So I knew that the killer was Anthony Perkins. Straight away, you know, Norman Bates. I automatically knew that the killer was Anthony fucking Perkins. That's only because I saw Psycho 2, Psycho fucking 3. It was only a couple of years, I think it was on a TV channel where they were showing all Alfred Hitchcock films, and then one of them they showed was Psycho. I saw Psycho and I automatically knew, you know what I mean? I knew, yeah, it's Anthony Perkins. I mean, I saw the iconic scene before where he's running out, and he's got that fucking wig on, he's dressed up as an old lady. So I knew straight away that it was Anthony Perkins. May he rest in peace. Damn good actor. Damn shame what happened to him. Really is. Right? But he was a damn good actor. Right? A lot better than the one in the fucking remake. Let's put it that way nicely. But, yeah. Again, as we know, it was taken off a book. The book was by James Block, I think I pronounced his name right. Now, for people to say that the film was ballsy, try the book out. The book, Norman Bates was a bit overweight without being insulting. Okay, he was fat. He was an overweight, bald-headed pervert. Now, I'm bald because I'm going thin. I'm not a pervert. Yeah, I'm dirty-minded, but I'm not a pervert, right? This was a guy who was middle-aged, fat, bald head, you know, probably some guy who looks like dirty magazines and has a bit of fun. And that's what Norman Bates was portrayed in the book, right? The scene with Janet Leigh's character in the famous shower scene, in that she doesn't get stabbed, she got beheaded by her axe. She actually cut her fucking head off with her axe. Now nowadays that would be bugger all. I mean, you've seen films where people get beheaded. The original Friday the 13th, the woman gets beheaded with a fucking, a meat cleaver. But for 1960, even so in a shower scene was taboo. So you know straight away you're not going to see someone get fucking beheaded. So they had to re-alter that with a knife. And then Anthony Perkins altered the character Norman Bates, and he made the character his own character. You know what I mean? He made him more sympathetic. And if I wouldn't have seen the sequels and I'd never known straight away, I'd have thought Norman Bates is just some sad lonely lung guy running a motel and getting shit from his fucking moaning ass mum. His mum's like some old biddy upstairs who's always moaning at him all the fucking time. You know what I mean? It was only when you watch Psycho you find out that his mum is stuffed, she's already dead, she's a rotting corpse. He's testing up, mimicking her fucking voice, and he's basically killing people. But it's not really a slasher film, the first Psycho. We all know Psycho. It's psychological. It's suspenseful when it wants to be. And when you think about it, you really only get two kill scenes. You get the shower scene, which I just mentioned, with Janet Leigh. And you get a detective who comes into the film later on. Goes to investigate the murder. You get the famous scene, the music, which is getting his iconic. Guy gets stabbed in the face, falls down, it fades to black. You got the idea he's getting finished off. Ken could show a lot. Different era, different time. But for its time, it was taboo. Even somebody fussing a fucking toilet seat was taboo in that era, but it was done. I mean, there's a bit where Norman Bates is perfing through a peephole and he's looking at Janet Leigh before the murder scene. But again, it's not just an excuse to show nudity. You get the idea. You want to see that? What's the fucking remake with Norman Bates is having a duck butter, right? It was expensive, but even then it's all nudity. There was sexual innuendos here and there, but it was very ballsy for that time, and that's why Psycho has always been above its time. It made sequels when it got into the 80s. It would have been 10 years after, which is iconic because if you've ever seen Psycho 2, you get the iconic scene 22 years later, and Norman Bates has come home. You remember that trailer? That was in 1983. So yeah, at that time it would have been 10 years. I think at first we're going to make sequels, but they decided fuck it. And one day I might even talk about the sequels. One of them being my favourite, that being Psycho 2. I mean, I do up more with Psycho 2, but I don't hate Psycho. I respect it. Without Psycho, you wouldn't have got slasher films. Without Psycho, you wouldn't have got other films similar with a similar nature. Psycho inspired other directors to influence them into making a film with similarities, Same there, you had a film called Peeping Tom. Never gets this notice as Psycho, but that was also a debut film for its time. You know what I mean? And then you had other films, like I mentioned months and months ago in my review, Blood Feast, and other films. And I always like to think Psycho influenced that, because it was ballsy. Like, how many times do you see a detective, it's funny enough, the detective in Norman Bates gets arrested, says the line, he's a transsexual. Transsexual wouldn't have even been mentioned before. People would never even say a word like that. 1960. Transsexual. What the fuck? You know what I mean? So it was ahead of its time. Now originally Alfred Hitchcocks did not want music. A bit like the Birds. Didn't want music, didn't want overbearing music or anything like that. He wanted it with no music whatsoever. Imagine what that would have been like, the famous shower scene. The curtains open up, the knife scene, without music. Pretty fucking scary. But I dilute the music, because everyone always remembers that famous music, that and the knife scene, the sound effects and all that. People remember it. You know what I mean? And it's a very manipulating film. If I saw the sequels, I thought Janet Leigh is going to be a main character, because she starts off with her bonking with some dye again. For its head of its time. She steals money, she's feeling guilty, she's going to have a change of heart, She just goes to have a shower. Yeah, it looked a bit like a shampoo ad. You know, she's washing her hair. It looks like a fucking old 60s shampoo ad. You got the pines. You see the famous knife scene. She's dead. And you're thinking, whoa, what the fuck's happened there? Whoa, imagine. Back in the 1960s, right, I'm being honest here. If I had a time machine, I'd have loved to have gone in 1960, see that in the cinema, just to look, not look at the film, because I've seen the film 101 fucking times and seen the sequels, but I would have loved to see the audience face going and doing that and thinking, whoa, what the fuck? And seeing the shock of their face, thinking we never saw that coming. See what I mean? Then take another book, James Bok, Alfred Hitchcock, Devon Beauty's The Master of Expense. Don't love Psycho, but I expect Psycho. I expect what it brought. Like I said with Night of the Living Dead, same as what I say with Psycho. I expect it. It was above its time. It brought out a damn good actor, being Andy Perkins. Brought out another good actress, you know, she was doing films well before that, as well as Andy Perkins, that being Janet Leigh, Jamie Lee Curtis' mummy. May she rest in peace. I'll say the same again with Andy Perkins. May he rest in peace. Both good acting, brilliant acting. Everything this has, the remake fucks it up. It just fucks it up. Stick to the original. It's a classic. Second ones, the sequels, are also very underestimated. But Psycho, because it's a classic and I respect it, I don't love it, I'm not going to go down on it, but I love it. I'm going to give it a 22 star rating, because Psycho, even today, people know it, people remember it. It made a lot of sequels and it got into the 80s and a bit of the early 90s. You had a shitty remake, they always are there, aren't they? It made a TV series. Psycho, everybody knows it. So for that, it's a classic. Into then, talk about a bit more reviews, have a bit more ranty rants, probably bore you a bit about more politics and let you know what I'm doing with me jobs, what I'm doing with my job. Into then though, I'm going to go woot and look for some food, because I can murder something. I can murder something to eat, because I'm a bit starving right now. Into then, I'll see you later.